Alrighty, a very good morning. Happy Monday, January the 2nd of 2023. Welcome back to a relaunch of the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Hi, my name is Justin. This is the throw-in. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys are listening to us live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, tuning us in later, or even those ones that are listening to us on audio platforms like Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. I want to thank you guys all around the board for tuning in and joining us on a daily basis. Now, it's been a crazy 2022, and not only in the world of sports before a show. This new relaunch of the program, hopefully a little bit more consistent heading into 2023. There's going to be more. We could take the sports with us, enjoy the new world of sports, and we'll get plenty into sports now. But I want to take this moment opening up our program this morning to kind of just once again revive you guys into exactly what's going around on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. This was something that for the longest period of time I enjoyed being able to I've always wanted to do sports broadcasting over several throughout my childhood. Just really didn't know the right platform to take it onto it. A couple years ago, back in 21, a matter of fact, I ended up figuring out that you can actually just talking to create a own podcast for yourself and post everything up on social media as yourself. So a couple years ago, I had this crazy idea, during the summertime, let's start our own podcast. Let's start our own sports talk show. Was with me and Justin. If you were there around day one, and then we jumped back, we invited Trey in, a good friend, who really got deep into, wrestling, very well committed. We got to see a chance to see Jake throughout a period of time. One thing that I will say is that everything that you see here, like the banners, the overlays, the extra stuff, there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot behind the scene. And when you want to be able to put out a good product, and that's what I want to do, then you end up running into, hey, there's a lot of outside, you don't just click on record and talk about whatever you want. You can make it that simple, but I don't make it that simple. I sit here and I, do all this, information, sideline stuff, and just to give you, reality, like, for example, this logo with the TNC, a good friend of Trey's made that. I want to thank him again, and I has a little data at the bottom. I know you can barely see it, but, there's things like Epidemic Sound, Canva, that takes time for when we do our breaks. The knowledge that we have putting into the program. So there's a lot that takes into it. I'm going to be honest. So we got off to a really good start in 2022. And I think somewhere along the line, people are just getting burnt out. When you don't take the proper rest that you need or that you should have on a day-to-day show. This is a 5-day, 5-day a week show. When you don't get the proper rest, and you're trying to grow yourself, you're still trying to give yourself content, then that is when you kind of start getting yourself burnt out. So towards April, May, I was getting myself burnt out. Things were changing. I was getting tired, maybe needed a break. Things were changing in my life. I was a single person, with a father of 2 kids, going into 2021, coming out. I'm still a father of 2 kids, but now I have myself growing a little family. Found someone that I love dearly, and so had a take some time to build that relationship throughout 2021. Try to start things back up on an audio program in 2021 when the big football season started. I ended up getting hurt at work, a matter of fact, on October 11th, because that was the last episode that you guys heard was October 11th. I got hurt at work. So what ended up happening is just with the amount of pain, with everything that was going on, the holiday season, I just was like, you know what, I'm just gonna cut it. Just let's regroup after the holiday season and see where this thing goes. So we're here, January 2nd, 2023, and we're relaunching the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. The one thing that I found is that every time I look back and I, wake up in the morning and I'm not doing a show, I find myself missing the show. Sure, the struggles are real about trying to, do the show, produce the show, keep up on social media. All that stuff is very real. It's very stressful, very strainful. But every time that I didn't do a show, man, I was, very, I guess maybe found myself more of a depressant mood. I ended up talking to myself about sports. So this is why a couple weeks ago I was sitting down, with the wife, and I was talking, saying, "Hey, I gotta start this back up. This is what I enjoy doing. We're gonna do a 2-hour program from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. The only reason why we're doing it that way is because it's the only thing that works. Right? I do it early in the morning, so that way people are still sleeping, and that way, in the household, and that way it does not conflict among me doing, my other obligations throughout the day. For example, I have several doctor's appointments among the family I have to attend to this week. So it gives me time to be able to attend them. Gives me the rest of the afternoon to enjoy with my family, doing whatever I want. I will tell you, I woke up perfectly fine, 4:30 this morning, started getting going, and had everything perfectly, lined up to the T, because I've been working on this for the past week and a half. But overall, I don't know how the 4:30 waking up at 4:30 is going to do. So we're going to work on relaunching this program. Take it 5 days a week, Monday through Fridays. There will be times where I will be off, and hopefully I should be able to give you guys updates. But hopefully, my goal is in 2023 is to have the consistency of putting on this show. There's going to be a lot of great stuff in 2023. Think about this. You got WrestleMania in Hollywood, Super Bowl's coming up, World Series, NBA Finals. And if it was anything of a statement that happened that was as of 2022, it's going to be in for a while. What, right? All right, so let's take a look at 2022, because crazy year just in the world of sports. You got to kick things off with things like the Royal Rumble. I will tell you this. In 2022, at the beginning, I think a lot of fans were upbeat, tempo, positive, that AEW was on top. They were shooting through the roof. They're doing great things for the company and for the industry. And WWE is kind of going on downhill spiral, kind of a little shocked, a kind of little false tease with the Forbidden Door, with returning of Mickie James to the Royal Rumble, acknowledging, letting the WWE and acknowledging the Impact Knockout Women's Champion Chip, and letting her bring the title to the Royal Rumble, rewriting the wrong there. Little disappointed that both Ronda Rousey and Brock Lesnar won the Rumble. Thought the opportunities could have been held differently. Then you got the, who could forget that the Rams beat the Bengals in the Super Bowl? I couldn't get irritated during this game. It was too. I live. I'm born and raised in San Diego. Became a Ram fan. I know I told this story numerous of times on programs. but you know, you couldn't get mad. You know, living in northern Kentucky, seeing the Bengals finally succeed, you finally need a team to succeed. So I'm happy. I was happy on this game. You know, I was actually maybe more pleased that the Rams were able to win than the Bengals, because now, you know, looking now how the Bengals are playing, getting back into the postseason compared to the Los Angeles Rams. You know, we had some fun moments leading up to WrestleMania. Who could have forget the Undertaker Hall of Fame? And it's not reflecting back on 2023. Already first error of the season. It's okay. You guys got to bear with me. Getting back to audio is a little differently here. But you know, you had the Undertaker inducting very little bit emotional for me. You know, it was a very well impactful week and a little, you know, a lot better WrestleMania for what I thought. And leading up to WrestleMania wasn't, you know, as at least a lot of podcasters will come out there and say, at least the fan base didn't seem to be too behind it. Stone Cold returning to face Kevin Owens, one last spotlight. You had Pat McAfee having a couple great matches, Logan Paul having a great match. You know, who could forget Cody Rhodes returning to the WWE? Something that was speculating, unexpected. Unfortunately, he goes down with with an injury in 2022, and you know, we'll talk a little later in our program about that. But you know, there was a lot of things, a lot of ups and downs. In the going back down to the WWE, where Triple H takes over creative, content, as Vince McMahon steps down with the investigations that's held upon him. And Houston Astros winning the World Series. So there's a lot of things that has happened. I think I honestly feel that overall 2023 overall was a better year in world sports than anything else. I I think if you guys were not a sports fan in 2022, then you guys missed out. And I understand the first 10 minutes. I'm just realizing this myself here that I'm getting 2023 and 2022 mixed up. So you're gonna have to bear with me. It's gonna probably take me about 2 to 3 weeks to officially click into my mindset that 2022 is out the window, 2023 is here. It's been crazy. I don't you just don't expect to make it out these of the next week. Last weekend, over the world, in the world of sports, defined 2022 in the year entirety. I've never seen a New Year's weekend be so impacted of a sports event weekend. Out of all New Year's, you started off with Thursday Night Football with the Cowboys and Titans, and then you got yourself the Friday Night SmackDown with Roman Reigns teaming up with Sami Zayn, taking on John Cena and Kevin Owens. And then you have yourself college football on New Year's Eve. And then Sunday football, which was yesterday, NFL Week 17, which had a lot of impact around. And then it still leads into tonight because you got the Bengals and the Ravens, which is going to be a fun game. Excited to talk about that game. Excited to get on that, on that sport. Talking about I got everything ready for here to go. So, overall, 2022 was a fun year in the world of sports. Let's not forget Tom Brady retired and came back. So let's have a great 2023. If you guys have a 2022 moment that you guys want to share, you guys want to talk about, anything of that stance, come on, bring it back here. Comment down below. Like I said, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Starting today, hopefully it's a weekly consistent thing. That's what I want to get better. I want to share a lot of moments in the sports world with you, between baseball, football, college, basketball, hockey a little bit, hell, even professional wrestling. And as you see back here, we have a couple, of things popped up on the wall. I'm working on getting that rebuilt. I had a whole bunch of stands last time that I did some sort of video content. I had a whole bunch of stuff back here that, just kind of fills in the blank space. So we're gonna have a great seat year. We're gonna have a great, and I'm gonna kick off today by having a great day today. What I got in plan? Got a lot of NFL playoffs to talk about here. We're gonna talk about the excuse me. We got to talk about the AFC, NFC pitcher race. Hey, listen, I'm going to lead you off into a little secret here. The Steelers overcoming and beating the Ravens last night, last Sunday night football of the year. And man, that keeps the Steelers playoffs alive. It hopefully prolongs and hopefully it avoids Mike Tomlin's losing season. So we'll talk about plenty of that. We'll get you guys ready for Bengals and Bills tonight. My last Monday Night Football on the year. We got WWE. Got a lot of talk. We'll talk about the last episode of Raw or SmackDown last week and the first episode of Monday Night Raw. So we got a lot to talk about here. Just getting warmed up on a Monday morning. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Throwing with Justin, taking you guys up until 8 o'clock in the morning. Thank you guys for making this your morning sports radio show. And be sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe button for more content. We'll take a break, come on back, and we'll talk some more sports with you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. All righty, 6:21 here on the Throw-In Monday morning. And that commercial break was actually created thanks to Canva. And now, right now, I only have 4. It takes about, I want to say maybe about an hour to throw in a a break or create a break. And so Canva helped me out. Okay, I love, I remember Placeit. Placeit got logos and whatnot, and it was just a simple platform. Canva, you could really go into depth about certain things, and that's what I love about Canva. So I want to give Canva a big shout out. Right now, I only have 4 breaks, so you're going to see a lot of the same repeats, and it's just something to kind of fill in the void. I know when I was doing audio, I didn't have any breaks. It was just nothing but dead silence. And there was really just no specific time frame. I just gave myself a few minutes to kind of recruit, maybe Google a couple things that I really wanted. Because when you do a live show, when you do an actual live show, and I can see the screen in front of me, and I only have one laptop I'm working off of, I have to actually take notes. I got to do the homework prior to the show. So it doesn't give me, when I was doing audio, I took some notes. I did have notes, but I was able to look at a screen in front of me to be able to help me out. So Canva's helped me out, and they are going to be working. They did the logo that you see on the top, right, left, this way, no, that way, right there, up there, corner. Thanks to Canva. Breaks thanks to Canva as well. The intro was thanks to Placeit. I'm gonna give a big shout out to Placeit, even though we don't use them as much as anymore. All right, we have to do some TLC because it's what is always needed. Before we get into diving into any sports, before we could talk about any sports and get you guys going, and how we want to kick off the year, I want to give my special shout outs to how the show is created possible. And the first people I want to give a big shout out to is StreamYard Studios. StreamYard Studios is where you can create your podcast, host virtual business meetings, conduct interviews, just even live chatting. StreamYard Studios, if you're looking to create some sort of, if you guys want, it's as simple as wanting to just to talk to people. All right, you want to, you could add people on, you could share your screen with other people. StreamYard is a versatile tool. I have the overlays you could have. I could have the banners that you see. I could see the comments if I'm going live on YouTube, on YouTube, if someone wants to comment down and weigh in. And so StreamYard is kind of everything it's everything that you need, but it's also very simple. I've looked into OBS. I know our good friends over at Armchair Booking uses Zoom. And that all works fine and dandy. I've been using StreamYard since day one. It's been very simple, very easy to use, very self-explanatory. Everything's about a click of a button. So you're going back and forth, and it allows you to take less time looking at the screen, more time at your cameras, more time talking about your sports and whatever you want to talk about. So if you guys are looking to start this up, StreamYard Studios is the way to go. I highly recommend it. I also want to give a big shout out to Epidemic Sound. Epidemic Sound is a royalty-free music link online that you can discover world-class artists, composers, and bands, find the perfect soundtrack, and give your social media accounts the music they deserve. And usually coming back from our breaks, I play Epidemic Sound, one of the music. The one that we just got done playing was Golden Era by Mary Riddle. So if you guys are looking to also create some background music to your stream or videos, check out epidemicsound.com for more information. Also, last but not least, I want to give another shout out to StreamYard. It allows us the platform to put on a show. Okay. But it is, we could go live from Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Great product. But it also takes, that's just for the video effect. Let's not forget about the audio, because after the show, I go back in, download the audio, cut out breaks, this and that, whatever I got to do. And I go back in and I upload it to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, and all that stuff. We have, thanks to Armchair Booking, because they're the ones who gave me this idea, gave me this information, and I love the information. I have myself a subscription of Spreaker. Spreaker provides the distribution of our audio podcast show to be distributed across different platforms. We are currently on Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, and much more. So if you guys are also just wanting to do a strict recording and put that on any of the audio platforms, check out Spreaker.com. It allows you to also be, how do you want to say it? Get monetized, get credit for your work. So highly recommend checking them all out. All right. That was probably a lot. That was probably unnecessary, maybe a little boring stuff that you may want to listen to, not listen to. But man, it is time to talk about some sports. And let's kick back in. Let's kick right into the NFL, because it has been a very, very entertaining season, a very kind of off the record season. I mean, I couldn't really envision exactly what's happened, and it's like if you look away for a moment, things are changing left and right. And based off of everything that has happened last week or yesterday, and things still continue into, tonight, it's looking to shape up to be a really interesting week number 18. I remember going, let's go back to Thursday for a moment, Cowboys and the Titans, because I was like, you hear the thoughts and the rumors and all that, you hear how the game plan is going to be played out. And the Titans sitting down, they're resting their players because they're more focused in against the Jaguars next week. I think that's a little absurd, and now they get that, right? And Titans are now in a position where it's a winner take all. All right, they lost against the Cowboys. Now they're heading into week number 18, tied with, or not tied, but in second place. And in order for them to make it to the playoffs, a postseason in 2 weeks, they have to beat the Jaguars. Now, in the AFC South, I thought, coming into this week, the only thing I had envisioned was that next week was going to be hosted from the AFC South. That was going to be the biggest game, maybe some seating wise, but otherwise, that's pretty much it. But now, everything, we're going to go through each and every little thing that we have coming on here. So, okay. So here's what happens. We have, I'm just rambling through my notes here really quick. All right. So the Jaguars and the Titans next week. I'm going to start off with these two teams. We'll take a look at the playoffs race really quick. So right now the Jaguars sit at 8-8, and they are first in the division. Titans are 7-9 after the loss to the Cowboys. From my understanding, is how it's played out overnight is really interesting. If the Jaguars win and beat the Titans next week, then the Titans are out. Jaguars win the division, and Trevor Lawrence goes on to the postseason. If the Jaguars lose, if the Titans win, they will go on to the AFC South. So whoever wins that game next week will win the South. But if the Jaguars lose, they still have some problematic ways of winning. The Steelers have to lose. The Steelers, in order for the Jaguars to get a wild card spot in the AFC, the Steelers, the Patriots, and the Dolphins have to lose their games. Now, Steelers are facing the Browns next week. Bills are taking on the Patriots, and the Jets taking on the Dolphins. So that little circumstance in the wild card spot right now defines everything in the AFC. Now we could go back in and we could talk about the Chiefs and the Bills and the Bengals, because the Bills and the Bengals take on Monday Night Football tonight. If the Bills win, they'll go back to the first seed. The Bengals win. There's a race for the number one seed in the AFC. Here's another thing. Taking intermediate breaks here in between, trying to make sure I have everything clear here on my notes. Out of both divisions, we know that the Chiefs and we know that the Bengals, or we know that the Chiefs and we know that the Bills have clinched the division. So we're still waiting on the Bengals and the Jaguars. Now, tonight can determine if the Bengals clinch. They are currently a game and a half above the Ravens in the AFC North. And with the Bengals' victory tonight, if the Bengals could beat the Bills, the Bengals will win their second consecutive NFC North division title. So winner takes all coming up. But if the Bengals lose, it'll be another winner take all next week when the Ravens take on the Bengals. So everything else looks pretty well. You know that the Chiefs are in, you know that the Bills are in, you know that the Bengals are going to be in, and you know that the Ravens and the Chargers. You have in a wild card spot that I just got done explaining to you the scenario. If the Patriots go on and win tomorrow or next week, and they'll be playing Buffalo, then they're going to go on and win the wild card spot. You'll see Bill Belichick back in the playoffs. If they lose and Miami wins, Miami replaces New England, and the Miami takes on the Jets. So the AFC throwdown is quite pretty. It's pretty substantial here. And according to yesterday, the Patriots beat the Dolphins 23-21, replacing the Dolphins as the 7th seed currently in the AFC West, or in the AFC wild card series so far. So a lot of stuff's happening down. All right. So that's a brief AFC. I still want to talk some more about the NFC here, and then I have a lot more NFL talking. All right, I'm getting warmed up, you guys. Please bear with me. We'll get all this stuff sorted out and figured out as the time goes on. You guys are listening to The Throne here, right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. All right, last Monday Night Football on the season. Bills and Bengals at Paycor Stadium tonight. The Buffalo Bills are going in 12-3, and the Bengals are going in 11-4. Well, we know that the Bills have already clinched the AFC West or East. The Bengals, with the win tonight, will go on and clinch the AFC North. It's exciting. I'm excited. I've never been excited about a Bengals game besides maybe last year's Super Bowl than today. And they get a chance to do it at the home crowd. That is tonight. Don't want to miss that out. A lot going on over there tonight between the Bills and the Bengals. And I mean, listen, this is just, it's just piling on. It's just piling on. We got a chance to see a couple clinches last week or a lot yesterday. We got a chance to see the Tom Brady and the Buccaneers going back to the postseason. Let's talk about that for a second as we take a look at the NFC playoff picture. Because Tampa Bay beat the Panthers 30-24 to clinch the NFC South last week. Or yesterday. I'll say last week, last week. Tomato, in my opinion. But this was it wasn't just about that. Tom Brady clinched the AFC South with the Buccaneers for his 19th straight playoff appearance. When he's healthy, okay, this is his 14th consecutive year going to the playoffs. Week 17 milestone happens in Tampa Bay. It also happens with Mike Evans as a third player in NFL history with 9 straight 1,000 yard receiving seasons, tied for Jerry Rice and Tim Brown. Tom Brady ties also Drew Brees for the second most career games with 11, with 400 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, you talk about some milestones coming out of Tampa Bay. They were the way that they played yesterday against the Panthers. They were playoff ready. They had a playoff game yesterday. So the Buccaneers beat the Panthers. Packers not only beat the Vikings, beat them in style, 41-17. And the first thing I will tell you on Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, you know what? I don't know what tomorrow holds. I don't know what the last 17 weeks hold. We could admit one thing for sure. Both of them have not played their best football. But the greatest of the greats, okay, it doesn't matter how you played 18 weeks of football. As long as you get to the postseason, everything's out the window. Okay. And we see this time and time again. Okay. Why is Tom Brady so great? It's because he can perform when it's needed. All right. Aaron Rodgers have done that the last 6 weeks. Okay. They continued it yesterday, beating the Vikings 41-17. They go into week 18 now. Okay. Packers deal. Aaron Rodgers has one more game. They got to beat the Lions. All right. And they beat the Lions. And they're in the they're in the 7-seed wild card spot. All right, we see here that Seahawks hold that 7-seed wild card spot right now. Okay, so this is how that wild card spot's going to kind of turn out in the NFC. If the Packers win next week against the Lions, they're in. That's it. End of story. If the Packers lose and the Seahawks win, then the Seahawks are in the postseason. But if the Seahawks also lose, which, by the way, they're facing the Rams next week, then it's going to be the Lions. And look at this. You think that Jared Goff and Detroit Lions ever be in the postseason? When was the last time you saw the Detroit Lions in the postseason? And here's the most interesting part. Let's go ahead and give a big round of applause to the Cleveland Browns, who, I mean, I'm not even a fan of, but they beat the Washington Commanders 24-10, knocking out the Commanders from the postseason. And I think I just thought this was so hysterical to find out when reading this. Ron Rivera, after the game, had no clue the scenario that he was in if they lost yesterday's game. He was so surprised about being eliminated from the playoffs if the Packers won. You know, I never really was sold on the Washington Commanders having a spot in the postseason. I'm behind the Giants. There's 9-6-1. They've clinched yesterday with the victory. The Cowboys are going down, and now they have to go face in Week 18 battle. Cowboys have to face face Washington. If Dallas wins, Eagles lost. So if the Eagles could beat next week the Giants, and we'll spend more time with this over the weekend. But if the Eagles win, they are division champions. They're going to hold the wild card seed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If Dallas wins and Philadelphia loses, well, Dallas could simply win the division, just like that. And a lot of teams, we it was just so fascinating this week. In Week 17, a lot of teams chose. Tennessee has chose. Washington chose. A lot of teams chose. Las Vegas chose to take a different approach to their season in hopes that, all right, maybe the season's over with. I mean, I was not, when you look at, like, for example, started back on Thursday with Tennessee, to see that the Titans were going to go on a short stick and choose a different quarterback. Like, what are you doing? Raiders, you have a chance at the postseason. You're taking out Derek Carr because you're more worried about the franchise and what the offseason provides you. Well, you know what? That ended up costing you against the 49ers last week. I mean, I understand a team like the Browns or a team like the Texans who make those type of changes because, yeah, you do want players healthy next year. At least you want players healthy in the offseason where you could have an opportunity at trading them. But you go see teams like like Tennessee, like Washington, maybe Philadelphia is resting. Philadelphia knows that they're in the postseason. So why even worry about if we can wait until next week? Well, you know what? Now Week 18 is that week that you have to shine. Maybe the Eagles want to play in the wild card. If you're in this division, which no team is safe right now, the only team I actually have high hopes on is maybe the Cowboys or not even the 49ers. They're in third string quarterback going into the postseason. Minnesota moved down to 12-4. So you're not consistent with them. Hopefully the Eagles can kind of step on that pace. Dallas is looking to get back in the postseason. Well, you know what? Let me tell you something about Dallas. They're back in the postseason, and they have a vendetta over what happened last year against the 49ers. They want to go back in the postseason and succeed. You take a look at the NFC playoff picture, and it's nothing really exciting, in my opinion. But we'll dive more into that. It's been fun. I'm seeing back here, and I'm seeing all these scenarios pop up on social media and say, "Oh, if this team wins," and I see teams clinch, and I'm like, I can't. Let's get down to tonight because the Bengals and the Bills do battle, and it's as simple as winning the division. Because I don't want to go into next week. I don't want to go into facing Baltimore and having to rely on that victory to get ourselves in the division. I definitely don't want to go on to the road. If you're the Bengals, last thing you want to do is go onto the road and have to face a team like the Ravens. because you could very well. I mean, I know they're the fifth seed, so they'll be facing Jacksonville or Tennessee. And I don't, are you so embedded on Jacksonville or Tennessee that it's an easy win for Cincinnati? I wouldn't take the AFC, a single team in the AFC as an easy win. Every team moving on, especially in the postseason, because postseason factors is an easy win. My bigger question for the week is what is Miami going to decide to do? Bridgewater went out because of an injury yesterday, and Miami's lost. Right? So to Tua decide, actually, he goes to the doctors. He says, "Hey, listen, I'm not feeling right." He gets hurt. He gets put on concussion protocol, and so Bridgewater starts last week's game. Okay, Dolphins lose to the Patriots. Bridgewater goes out. Now they're back at third string quarterback. I don't know the status. I'm assuming Bridgewater will be healthy for the game, but I don't quite know just yet on that. My thing is let's take a look at how is Tua will I guess my question for the week is, we'll open this up before I got to take a break. Will Miami push Tua to come back early? Tua wants to play when he can, but will they try to push Tua to come back knowing the position that they're in next week? I'm going to leave you at that. Let's step aside here, come back, because it's been a football playoff environment, football all weekend long, including we had NCAA games coming up. So we'll cover that here coming up next at the bottom half of the hour. You guys are listening to The Throw-In here with Justin on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. All right, bottom half of the hour, hour number one. Thank you guys for tuning in. And kind of want to quickly just share a few more highlights of week number 17. We'll dive a little bit more into the milestones and all that stuff NFL wise later on this week, but I want to just mention here Patrick Mahomes, third quarterback in NFL history with a multiple 5,000 yard passing season. Other ones, Drew Brees, Tom Brady. Christian McCaffrey yesterday, third NFL history with third NFL player in NFL history with 3 seasons of 1,000 yards rushing and 75 catches. He ties Le'Veon Bell with 3 and Marshall Faulk with 4. Devontae Adams broke Hall of Famers Tim Brown's franchise single season receiving of 1,408 yards that was set back in 1977. So anything coming out of week 17, a lot of teams are getting ready for the postseason. A lot of teams getting ready for the playoffs. And I will say something in this regards here, because not only, we had a great New Year's Day. I hope everyone had a great New Year's. Hopefully everyone was safe, and hopefully to see you guys on this side of the year doing well. That's my goal this year, doing well. But yesterday there was playoff atmosphere. Teams trying to clinch, right? Teams trying to get into the postseason. Like I said, the Lions, Jaguars, Patriots trying to hold on. But it wasn't just in NFL Sunday that we saw great football. It was college football weekend. All right. This was the first weekend I claimed with the timeline moving up. All right, you had Thursday night football on Thursday, Dallas Cowboys and the Titans. SmackDown, we'll talk about that at the end of the year. And then you had college bowl games, including the college football playoffs. And first game, let's just go right through it. TCU taking on Michigan. TCU beating Michigan 51-45. All right, TCU got out to an early lead, and they never looked back. All right, I think this game was who wanted it more. TCU wanted it more. And as the year progresses, and as the years expand on us, over the next few years, we're going to see more teams, with the college football playoffs expanding. We're going to see more games and more teams like TCU and Michigan, and it's going to be more exciting to watch. I know I am. It's going to be weird at first, but last year, just seeing, okay, we could almost guarantee a entry from Georgia, from Alabama, from Clemson, from Ohio State, from Michigan, from the top elite teams each and every year, right? And nothing against them, right? They're the best of the best. They had the best affiliated programs, which really kind of set themselves apart from everyone else. And each and every year, you get comfortable this time of year seeing, okay, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, one of those teams being in the college, not only in the college football playoffs, but competing next week for the national championship. Well, you see teams like Cincinnati who attempted to go, and a lot of people out here, I was surprised to see Cincinnati be in the top four to go into college football playoffs. I was rooting for them, and it's right now in NCAA in college football. They're trying to put in those underdog teams. TCU's an underdog team, and they may have a slim chance, but it's playoff atmosphere. And basically what we saw on Saturday night with TCU in Michigan, Ohio State, and Georgia was a glimpse, was a taste of how football is going to be in about 2 weeks from now. Because TCU, Michigan, no matter how well your season played this season, everything went out the window. Saturday night was that night to play football. TCU wanted just a little bit more. I do wonder, though, if Michigan underestimated TCU. And the last other thing, I hear a lot about mistakes. I hear a lot about how Michigan, remember that touchdown that that Michigan didn't get, right, at the in the game, that 56-yard touchdown that was called back. Well, let me tell you something about that. All right, Michigan threw. All right, JJ McCarthy threw 2 interceptions, 2 pick sixes, as a matter of fact. All right, Michigan dominated with per time of possession, first downs, penalties. They obviously had more. They total yardage, but it was amount of mistakes, and that is going to be one of the key elements heading into this playoff season, not only in the NFL but for next week, is the amount of mistakes. And TCU was able to get out to an early lead thanks to a couple pick sixes. They were able to seal the deal, and they were able to win the ball game. And now you have an underdog coming out, and out of those 2 games, I don't think there was a single bad game. Okay, because Ohio State losing to Georgia 42-41 came down to a missed field goal at the end of the game from Ohio State. One of the craziest playoff atmospheres. You had 7 different webcams looking into it. I got even towards the end of it, it went right up to the New Year's for our end. So we caught the very end. I had to watch it on my phone while turned on the New Year's, the ball dropping on the TV. But it was a close game through and through. I think Ohio State's defense got a little bit tired at the end. Okay, I'll give them that. Georgia, listen, I think Georgia on Saturday, what they did was just show that in their comeback. One, it shows just how dangerous they are, and it just shows them why they are in the, first of all, number 1 seed, and second of all, while they're in the postseason to be, in college football playoffs each and every year. Okay, there's no doubt about it. Georgia, TCU now, championship game, winner takes all, January 9th, next Monday, matter of fact. I know I want to look at it, and it's going to be a fun game. I'll tell you that. We'll definitely dive more into college playoffs throughout the week. I thought it was really an exciting game. I thought it was exciting day, especially if you looked out of all bowl game, out of all the bowl games, Everything was just smoothly played. And like I said, it's a playoff atmosphere. It gets you ready for what's to come in the postseason for the NFL. And let's be honest, because you can learn something from it. I know I can learn. NFL can learn something from this. Um, I'm just overall excited. It was overall pleasured weekend. So let's talk about that. More still to come. Hour number 2 coming up next here on the Throw In. Thank you guys for tuning in to the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Yeah, yeah. Laugh it to the bank like ha 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 ha. Go, go. Laugh it to the bank like
Hour number 2. I appreciate everyone's patience who is kind of just tuning in. I'm not perfect right now. Still learning into the new season. It's been several months since I last came actually on an actual face-to-face visual video program. Kind of working out. The Kings got to give me a little bit. What I like is that I actually have down here a tablet. So I don't have a printer. Well, okay, I have a printer, but I don't have ink for the printer. So it's going to take a while to get that. So what I have here is a tablet that I type up my my list that I have here. This is just kind of a general list that I have that goes through kind of key points, highlights, the focus points of the direction I'm taking the program into. So I've emailed myself, open it up on this tablet. I have it popped open here so I can kind of stay on track. And then, I take my detailed notes and whatnot. That way I can, leave my phone open, kind of rocking out the old gear jacket, t-shirt, got the TNC Sports Talk mug from T Public that we have. I don't know what they have. I haven't been on that website in several months. But I mean, just kind of feeling comfortable. It's going to take a couple of days to get comfortable, to get into the swing of things, So, just bear with me. Got any suggestions, any advice, please weigh them in. We'll be happy to hear them up. All right. So listen, bowl games continue today. Coming up off at high noon, got Relia Quest in Tampa, Florida. Mississippi State taking on Illinois at 1 p.m. You got Citrus Bowl in Orlando. LSU taking on Purdue. And at 1 p.m., Cotton Bowl taking on in Arlington, Texas. Number 10 USC taking on number 16 Tulane. And at 5 p.m. tonight, the Rose Bowl. And Pasadena, California, number 8, Utah taking on number 11, Penn State. Now, I understand why college football did this. They waited until the day to kind of host, especially some of these bowl games. I guess this is an extended holiday. Matter of fact, today is an extended holiday from New Year's, and then tomorrow, matter of fact, is another extended holiday for like banks and whatnot. So a lot of places are not even open until possibly Wednesday this week, which is kind of sucks, because one thing that I realized coming into this year is, as an adult, as someone that's, coming into his own, is that as a child, you enjoy these holidays. It's like it's time off is whatever, expect everything to be open, business as usual. But when you realize that the holidays are kind of really painful, especially if you are someone who's just trying to continue business as normal. I can't go down to the bank today because they're closed. Well, what happens if I need to get something done, or a bill paid, or waiting on a paycheck? Well, they're closed for the holidays. So kind of frustrating there on that behalf. All right, let's dive on into some of the things around local wise, because we still cover the Bengals and to get ready for the Bengals and Bills tonight. We still cover Cincinnati Reds, which I'll talk a little bit about them later on this week. I try to get into college football, try to get into college basketball. I'm going to be honest, I'm wishy-washy on that. Those are just subjects that probably ain't my criteria, but I like to still cover them because that's what because that's the nature of what I'm covering. I mean, there's only so much basketball, there's only so much football and baseball to talk about in wrestling that, mixing it up, giving a diversity of this program and then the world of sports categories kind of helps things out. So I'm going to go right down the list. And this is what I have going out for today. We'll talk about the Cyclones coming up tomorrow. I believe they play tomorrow. I'll confirm that and bring you guys up. That is the Columbus Blue Jackets minor league system that plays in Cincinnati at the Heritage Bank Arena. But you got the Louisville Cardinals. Excuse me. You got the Louisville Cardinals, who lost to Kentucky in basketball, NCAA basketball now, 83-63 back on New Year's Eve. They go on and play Syracuse tomorrow at 7 p.m. Tickets still available, starting at $15. Louisville Cardinals are 2-12 overall, 0-3 in the ACC, 13th in their conference. Over in Kentucky is the only one that's ranked here out of the 4 local teams that I'm going over. Now, keep in mind, this is not Xavier. So unfortunately, maybe I'll include them later down the road. Kentucky Wildcats 9-4 overall, 0-1 in the SEC, 6th ranked in the conference. After beating Louisville, they'll be hosting LSU tomorrow at 8 p.m. Tickets available for $30. Cincinnati Bearcats coming up next. They lost their game yesterday to Temple, 70-61. That moves them to 10-5. 1-1 against American Athletic, 4th in the conference. They go play on Thursday at Wichita State, 9 p.m. for tickets available out there for $15. Ohio State Buckeyes, 10-3 overall after a victory over Northwestern, 73-57 in the Big Ten. They are 2-0. First place, they're playing number 1 Purdue on Thursday at 7 p.m. Tickets available starting at $10. And I think that's going to be a big game for Ohio State taking on Purdue, number 1. It's another conference game. I got high hopes. Hopefully that the Ohio State could win. Just how well their football team played this year, heading to the college playoffs, football playoffs. Sorry. You hope that, you could transition into basketball nonetheless, and then into baseball and back to football game. That's kind of how you kind of want these teams, your local teams to kind of proceed in, in the state that you play in. So, that's going off there. Also coming up, something worthy enough to mention, today, kicking off at 2 p.m. today. You have the Winter Classics. Boston Bruins are hosting the Pittsburgh Penguins at Fenway Park. One of the things that I really enjoyed growing up was watching the Winter Classic. It's kind of difficult to get into hockey for me. I'll watch it from time to time. It's not always on a prime time network. Sometimes you could catch it on a TNT or TBS or even ESPN from time, but it's not like it's a baseball or it's football. And so when you run into a classic like the Winter Classics that hockey does every year, they play at outdoor stadium, whether that is in Texas, whether that is in, Boston, New York, Chicago, Ohio, for example, get a chance to watch some outdoor hockey being played. So that kicks off. I believe that is available on TNT. Pittsburgh's coming into that game 19-11-6. Boston is 28-4-4. So, all right. Got to transition into sports. Let's step aside. Let's come on back and talk some WWE, because, we ended 1 year on SmackDown, which I thought was a phenomenal show, and we'll go details into that. But we still got a lot to come as Monday Night Raw is still approaching us. And I want to talk about, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this week, because it's a new year. You got to have you got to have your annual, okay, who was your breakout talent of the year? Well, WWE fans on Fox voted Seth Rollins as the workhorse of the year. So I kind of want to break that down a little bit, talk exactly just how much Seth Rollins has meant to the company this year, and give you guys some WWE updates, in my opinion. So we still got a lot to come. So stay tuned. Come on back. We'll take you guys up until 8 o'clock. You guys are listening to the Throw-In with Justin right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. I want to once again give a shout out to StreamYard Studios, the proud home of the TNT Sports Talk YouTube channel. Create your podcasts, YouTube videos, host virtual business meetings, and even conduct interviews at StreamYard.com. Check out the free version today for more information. I feel really good about my setup again, having my computer back out here. When I went back to audio, I put my computer in my desk, my setup, my studio, went back to my bedroom in the corner. I was just looking at a wall, and it's kind of a little, it was like, all right, there was no background. I was just kind of curled up in the corner. I kind of like to have a little bit of space, kind of have like a little bit of range to move. Obviously, you see the stuff in the back. Now, this is just stuff to begin with. I'm going to continue decorating. And I know last year, I had stuff building up. I don't know if I'm going to get another bookshelf back here. Maybe, hopefully, we will see. But we do have stuff building up here. As you could tell, I got this little table fan because, knowing me, it's hot. I got a fan here. I got the window open. So I feel good back in my corner. I really do. And I'm excited. And, I think the only thing that's going to be frustrating for me, that's going to probably maybe catch up, and hopefully it doesn't, is the amount of sleep. Because I wake up at 4:30. I got to wake up at 4:30, no later than 5 to get up here, make sure everything's running properly early and on in the morning. So I appreciate it once again, everyone who is also just being patient. Want to welcome back to the relaunch of this program. It's been exciting. We're getting excited to get back on here and talk some sports. And it's going to take a few moments, a few days maybe, to really just get back in the swing of things, But I also like the banners that I get an opportunity to post up and show you guys. Last year, we talk about how great sports was over the weekend, and it was. All right, you had Shinsuke Nakamura back yesterday, who faced Great Muta. Now you got to remember, Great Muta is going to be retiring here in a couple months. I believe he has another match coming up in the middle of February. Okay, you know what? Listen, and for a guy, I don't really know much about Great Muta. I've heard of his name. I've heard some of her work. I don't know the details. I know he's a big entity in Japan wrestling. So Shinsuke Nakamura defeated Great Muta yesterday at Noah's Wrestling. Afterwards, he got a chance to hear the press conference before and afterwards a little bit. I thought it was touching. But then Shinsuke was asked about, was he invited yet to Wrestle Kingdom 17? And Shinsuke kind of turned it out. He's like, no one's approached me about it. So it's kind of upsetting. I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed. Now, and here's, the new direction that the WWE is moving into, and how everything is now becoming more transparent. They're allowed to kind of break off and go to doing some of these other, events while they're not on, television and whatnot. I think it's awesome. Obviously, we talked to Heavenly last year that, it was a big tease last year that at the Royal Rumble when Mickey James joined, right? We thought that forbidden door was knocked down. I think eventually, maybe over the next few years, that door needs to be knocked down. But I mean, baby steps, right? I mean, even Hunter, who earlier this last year took reigns in the WWE since Vince McMahon stepped down, he's even come out and said, "Hey, be expect the unexpected at the Royal Rumble. All right, we may see guys that you may not expect to see enter the Royal Rumble." Heard a petition about Bushwhacker Luke trying to get into this year's Royal Rumble. You know what? A lot of people are going to try to get into the Royal Rumble. Booker T's. I even saw something on social media with Booker T trying to get into the Royal Rumble. I'm going to say never say never. Never. Okay. I think WWE is playing it smart. It's going to take baby steps. I don't know how much you want to cross promote, but I think it's important that you know, WWE, AEW, TNA is not the only wrestling program out there. I think there's a lot of people that don't know about AEW, just like they don't know about TNA, just like they, you know, because they're not as much global yet, or still brand new. Right? WWE's been around for years, for decades, right? There's also a lot of people that don't know about NWA. You know, I didn't know about NWF down here until I was introduced by it. And that's just because the exposure that they don't get. They don't get television time. A lot of them are old traditional. You know, NWF has not put anything on YouTube because they want people to come to NWF events. Well, you kind of have to promote it. I would honestly say if you promote the product on social media, not just a Facebook platform, but YouTube and Twitter, and you know, you put on show actual matches, record maybe live and whatnot, people will come to it. Yeah, you'll get people. What the thing is, I can't go to every single event, unfortunately, but yeah, I'm gonna want to go to these events. You know, so but in that way, I don't miss anything that's happening on one of these shows. But there's a lot of people out there, so the opportunity. I mean, AEW Dark, for example. You know, some locals, you know, Nikki Victory, Jordan Crew, you know, wrestle for NWF, they're going up. They're gaining their shot, and they're gaining their shot on some sort of audio, actual platforms that people could see. So we're gonna see this expand. I think it's cool for the WWE, and I'm excited. I can't wait to see what else comes. Also coming out in the wrestling news, AJ Styles got hurt last week, over the weekend. Apparently it's a broken ankle. He ended up having sustaining an injury during a live match, where he faced it was a 6-man tag or something like that, where AJ Styles was involved of taking on Judgment Day, and he ended up getting hurt during the match. It rules out to be a broken ankle, no surgery required, and it's kind of just sucks. I mean, we know the role for AJ Styles is it's not going to be there. But any, distinct, this is the time of year, right? It's the road to WrestleMania. It's the road to the Royal Rumble. This is the time where everyone is like, hey, you need to be hands on deck. And we find out that AJ Styles is not going to be a part of that because it's going to probably take at least 2, if not 3 months to make a recovery. So honestly, if you're looking for a WrestleMania moment, maybe there may be a slight chance he could be a part of something. But if it is a broken ankle and he is not getting surgery, I'm thinking at least 6 to 8 weeks, which puts him right, at the beginning of March, which means that he most likely will be missing WrestleMania inside an actual match. Maybe he'll be sidelines of it at a match. Maybe he'll actually be in a match, like a 6-man tag match. But that is slim to done. All right, but major thing before we cut to our break here, I want to talk about is Seth freaking Rollins. He had one hell of a year this year. He was voted by WWE fans on Fox as the workhorse of the year. He was also awarded most stylish superstar of the year in the WWE as the match of the year with Cody Rhodes at the Hell in a Cell moment. Let's take a moment real quick to take a step back and really realize what Seth Rollins has done for the WWE over the past several years, especially this past year. He has wrestled a total of 115 matches. You want to compare that to a Roman Reigns with 43. That's about 3 times as much. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn at 72, 73 apiece. Riddle kind of up there, about a little bit more than that. But this is between live pay-per-views and, actual, house shows. The thing I want to point out is that Seth Rollins has taken on a role where if it wasn't for him, maybe Raw wouldn't be the same way that it has been. He has always been able to reinvent himself, which that's what he was needing to do. I think at the beginning of the year we weren't too fond of it, but just like we're not too fond of a lot of things that WWE or even wrestling in general first presents itself. But it can't go unrecognizable. Okay. I mean, and it's the little things that really help this industry, and especially the WWE, thrive at. I mean, this is something, and yeah, and for one, hey, he's had a child. He has a child. Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch has a child, and he could say, hey, I need to be home taking care of my kids. But you know what? Maybe these days are numbered for Seth Rollins. So let's give him everything that he possibly has, so that when the time does come, he doesn't live without any regrets. Now, it's not the greatest year that he's been through, but let's take you back. I mean, he was the one. Okay, I'm gonna say the one that it has accepted Cody Rhodes' return. Was the first feud that Cody Rhodes had when he returned. I don't know about you, but it took Cody Rhodes to leave the industry, just like other superstars, to reinvent themselves and come back as a better person. We know how big Cody Rhodes is. So my thing is Cody Rhodes allowing Seth Rollins to be the first person. You think that Cody Rhodes will come back in like, who are you going to feud with? Who are you going to want to work with? And it says something when you say Seth Rollins is on that radar. Okay, they may not be the best of friends, but when the WWE trusts you to work with someone who's returning, who probably has restrictions and has certain criteria that they have to meet, right? Because Cody Rhodes just didn't say, walk up to WWE and say, hey, I want to return. What's my contract? There was a negotiation process. There was an understanding of things that were and were not to happen. And Seth Rollins took upon it to make that happen. Just, it's those stories that you hear, for example, like when Chris Jericho had to put over Fandango at WrestleMania when he didn't think he should have put over. He didn't think it was good for business. But then he comes to realize that this is better than business. Seth Rollins also has been carrying the United States Championship, when they needed that face. And right now, with Roman Reigns having both titles on him on SmackDown, and he makes very limited to none appearances on Raw, it is important that United States title is the most prestigious title right now on Raw. It gets upheld with the best athletes. So that's why you wonder why they took it off Austin Theory. Well, he just is not getting that vibe quite yet. The fans are not behind him. He needs a little bit more work, a little bit more push. So this is what Seth Rollins is going to do. He's going to help push him. Seth Rollins also had a good feud with Riddle. Let's not forget about those matches. And how much does that help Riddle out, knowing that he needed that push from Seth Rollins as a singles competitor? I mean, Seth Rollins is on another level. And, it almost feels like, reminds me that it was just yesterday that Seth Rollins just came into the WWE. He's been wrestling for almost a decade now. He's been, with Bobby Lashley in and out of the company, or not on each and every week. Obviously, he's in the mid 40s. I mean, what else do you give? Seth Rollins is that guy. He is that guy that, all right, SmackDown is thriving to the next level. He's he's stepping into that spot. He's stepping into the role. It may not be a championship level, but he's carrying his performance week in and week out, carries Monday Night Raw to where it needs to be. So congratulations to Seth Rollins. Listen, it makes you appreciate these athletes who come in and out week in and week out to put on a new performance for you. And when you pay attention, we'll go through this throughout the week. We'll talk about how WWE is, we'll talk about top talents, what people have done for the company, this and that, because not just Seth Rollins. I mean, you take a look at AEW. Jon Moxley had to show up when no one else showed up. He had to step in and take the reins because AEW fans were behind him. You think he wanted to, put aside his vacation? No. He wanted to take a vacation after he dropped the title to CM Punk. Had to come back and win that title again just to face MJF. And that's a whole nother story. So there are sacrifices these athletes are making. Seth Rollins has done one. He has stepped up to the plate. And I think that's, now seeing that from last year, it's kind of like, all right, this is the role for Seth Rollins. It fits him perfectly. And honestly, without him, you don't know where the company is, especially you don't know where Monday Night Raw is. Let's step aside. Let's come back. Let's talk about SmackDown. And let's talk about upcoming Monday Night Raw, because a lot of things happen on SmackDown, plus the first Royal Rumble match. Besides the two men and women's Royal Rumble matches, there's the first match has been announced. Stay tuned. We'll talk about that here coming up on the throw-in here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Violet Sky by Fellow. Given to you thanks to Epidemic Sound. Discover your world-class artists, composers, and bands. Find the perfect soundtrack and give your social media accounts the music they deserve. Epidemic Sound is a world-free music link. For more information, check out epidemicsound.com. Also want to give a big shout out, talking over with Steve Barber over there at Armchair Booking, always still in contact, great person. He's always looking to expand. He has a couple podcasts going on, Cubicle Chat. He also does one with Armchair Booking Podcast. Latest episode of Armchair Booking Podcast is the 2022 Wrestling Year-End Review, which is now available on YouTube. You can also check that out on any audio platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and more. Steve Barber, Dwayne Davis sit around and talk about wrestling news several times a week. Don't miss an episode. He's the one who kind of got me into Spreaker. So a lot going on here. I'm kind of, last week, like I said, end of a great product in the WWE. I think, obviously there has a lot of gone on in the WWE over this past year. I think a lot more that's maybe overwhelming to a lot of people. And you gotta, with everything that happened with Vince McMahon, everything that happened with, Triple H stepping in, we've seen ratings go back up, giving Triple H the creative writing suites. We don't know if this is a permanent figure or if this is something that just, give it a couple years and we'll figure out where things go. I know that there's rumors about, Vince wanting to come back. Should he come back? Should he even step down to begin with? I think this is overall still good for business. And the way that it ended on Friday night was an example on why it was good for business. For one, John Cena returning for a match. You can't forget John Cena over 20 years has had a match in every year. Now they squeezed him in very last minute, And you could definitely tell, I think one thing that blew up on social media the most was that you were able to tell that, hey, your childhood hero is getting old. Times have changed. A lot of people point out his ball spot, maybe his body figure didn't really look the same as it used to back in the good old days. But it wasn't about how old John Cena was. It was just about the memories and the time and the fun that we had, that we enjoyed on SmackDown. It wasn't, this whole, tag team match wasn't about being able to see there was no perspective. Maybe Kevin Owens has something with Roman Reigns at Royal Rumble. I don't know. Remember, Kevin Owens was on Raw up until this point. And to do it with Sami Zayn, I mean, it was just kind of a match to fill in for the end of the year, to give the fans what they wanted. That's all I took out of it. I mean, I'm not really expecting John Cena to make a return back. Maybe he has another match this year. I don't know. Expect him to be gone doing his own things. He's better off that way. Maybe Kevin Owens pushes Roman Reigns for a little bit, because right now there's realistically nobody else for Roman Reigns. And one thing we will talk about this week is what should be the plans for Roman Reigns moving forward. What we do know is that John Cena and Kevin Owens beat Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn on SmackDown, which means coming into this week, is there going to be some sort of consequences for Sami Zayn? And honestly, Sami Zayn did not. This was the first time that Sami Zayn did not show up. He didn't do anything positive into inflicting this match. So this was the first crack that we see out of Sami Zayn. And maybe it would be held against him. But that wasn't all we saw on SmackDown. Because, we saw Drew McIntyre make his return, saving Sheamus from Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline. What does this mean? Just a thought that comes to mind is right now is, hey, I would like to see Drew McIntyre and Sheamus team up and defeat the Usos for the tag team titles, maybe at WrestleMania. I will love to see that. I'm just, notating that down. Maybe we'll see it, maybe we won't. I mean, just imagine Drew McIntyre and Sheamus uniting as a team. It's been years since they united, since they were one of a team. We also saw Ronda Rousey defeat Raquel Rodriguez. So I'm used to the Gonzalez still, to retain the SmackDown Women's Championship, but was interrupted by Charlotte Flair, who made a return. She injured her elbow earlier this year, had to take care of it. And Ronda put the title up on the line, and Charlotte came in, nice and easy victory. And coming into this new year, Charlotte Flair is now your SmackDown Women's Champion. What else do we see? Okay, and I think everyone, I have not seen anyone, I've not seen a crowd so excited for Charlotte Flair return like we did on Saturday. That was a complete surprise. Out of everything that took place on SmackDown last week, that was the most shockingly surprise returns that we could possibly see. And I think, hey, a new face, a new change, because you were wondering yourself, Raquel, Liv Morgan, who else is for Ronda? Honestly, I wonder sometimes the storylines that Ronda, does she even belong on SmackDown? It's not saying that she's a bad athlete. It's not saying she's a bad wrestler, nothing like that. No. I'm just wondering what her role is for the WWE. I feel that 2022 was a role, while Charlotte Flair, while SmackDown's getting the biggest heat right now with Roman Reigns, Ronda Rousey being in that picture competing. Yeah, it gives her matches, of course. I felt like it was just something to fill in while Charlotte was getting better. Maybe I would like to see Ronda now go over to Monday Night Raw and maybe work on her feud. One thing that we didn't see last year was Ronda working on her feud with Becky Lynch. And I think that there is a lot unsaid there. And I think that would be a much better match coming out of this year. And I think it needs to happen either this year or next year. I would like to see it at WrestleMania. But she had her time on SmackDown. She made that run for it. Ronda lost. I don't know the entire why even what happened, why even happened. But I think it not time need to switch back over to Monday Night Raw. We focus on SmackDown this entire year. And that's great. We built them up. Now it's time to happen on Raw. All right, coming also, but the biggest thing that came out of SmackDown, in my opinion, was Bray Wyatt accepts LA Knight's Royal Rumble Challenge match. And so the first time we will see Bray Wyatt, hopefully, maybe the first time we will see Bray Wyatt inside the ring will be at the Royal Rumble since his return. Now, the other thing that came out afterwards was the fact that Uncle Howdy, came out and kind of, I guess, in a sense, punished, Bray Wyatt, leaving heads turned, leaving LA Knight speechless. And, a lot of people may say, I don't really know what to think of this. I think it's only thing that I'm good. Let me put it this way. I love it. I love the mystique to it. I don't care who Uncle Howdy is. I don't care about figuring him out. It could be Bo Dallas. It could be Eric Young. It could be anybody else. I really don't care. Okay. What I do care about is the story that's being told. And just as good as Roman Reigns and the Bloodline stories have been told over the years, this has been a great storytelling between Bray Wyatt and his mixed thoughts, mixed emotions, mixed personalities, his family, bringing that back in. Bring it back in. And to take your time telling this story week in and week out. Now, I do agree. We'll say that LA Knight and Bray Wyatt is taking a little too long to get this match going. But to tell the story with his family in between and to slow down and to really tell the story, that's what I love the most about it. So, first Royal Rumble match was already presented. Bray Wyatt, LA Knight taking on each other one-on-one and at Royal Rumble. We still got the men's Royal Rumble and the women's Royal Rumble. We'll get deeper into that conversation as the weeks come up, because I know there's a lot of talk definitely about the open door policy that Hunter has put in. At least hopefully we can see more of him. All right, we're going to step away one last time. We'll come back. We'll talk about Monday Night Raw that is still to come tonight, as well as give you our final thoughts on the Bills and Bengals game that's also taking place tonight at the bottom of the hour. All right, we'll be right back. Take a break. Come on back here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Alrighty, we made it for the first day of the new year. I'm excited. I'm happy. Kind of getting back into the swing of things here early in the morning. I know. But hopefully you guys can kick in. Like I mentioned, if you guys have not downloaded us, hit that like, share, and subscribe button on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to head on over, download us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Speaker, anywhere you get your podcast at, the throw in. Okay. So listen to us, listen to me each and every morning. Take yourself on the road to work, driving in the car, get in, and then also come in, put in your, ways and means of the year. But hey, it is January 2nd. We got the Boston Bruins and the Pittsburgh Penguins game at Fenway Park. Outdoor Winter Classic. Great going in. Monday Night Raw coming into tonight. Let's not forget about that. 8 p.m. at USA Network. Couple of exciting things. Hey, SmackDown ended off on a real good note. In 2022, ended off for the WWE on a real good note. Let's do the same to kick things off in 2023. hey, Seth Rollins, Austin Theory for the United States Championship match. That is going to be a pleasurable match. I am loving the aspect of this match that's to come. And it's just, it rolls over again just to say and to show just how much, you guys could think that this is a regular match to watch between Seth Rollins and Theory. But in my opinion, this is Theory who has been kind of struggling the back half of the year, wanting to get on the right track. And Seth Rollins is being that, workhorse of the year, kind of been taking the responsibility of carrying Monday Night Raw. He's been kind of taking the responsibility of when he was working with Cody Rhodes, when he took the United States Championship, and he's also working with younger guys like Theory, building him up. So tonight, United States Championship on the line. Seth Rollins defends it against Theory. And, let's talk about rumors real quick. There is a theory, not an Austin Theory, but there is a theory that Cody Rhodes could be returning to the WWE to Monday Night Raw tonight. Now, is it too early? I don't know. All I know is that Cody Rhodes has already kind of made it clear. Yet last Monday night, on a video interview that he had on Raw, that he would like to return his feud with Seth Rollins. And I think they got unfinished business. All right, and I think that they could lead this thing up to WrestleMania again if they play it right, and it will still be just as entertaining as last year, if not even more entertaining than last year. So Seth Rollins, maybe we'll look out for that. Maybe Cody Rhodes cost Seth Rollins the championship match. Maybe then they do some sort of altercation at the Rumble and something that leads up to WrestleMania. I will like to see. We are also going to be getting the Raw Women's Championship match. Bianca Belair will defend her title against Alexa Bliss. Listen, I think this is where, in my opinion, Raw needs to get off to a really hot start this year. Okay. They've kind of been setting the backseat, and I know, it's been getting entertaining over lately, but I still say 3 hours of Raw is a lot of work to be put on. And, I know you've been getting the Bloodline coming over the last couple weeks, but there needs to be more coming out of Monday Night Raw. I don't know exactly how to fix it, what you need to do to fix it. I just feel that there needs to be something more. Maybe they're missing a title. I don't know. All I know is that they're missing something that can put Raw back at the same level of SmackDown. Right now, I think SmackDown's number one. Personal opinion. Until Raw can come up and give me something else, then that's where I stand. So Monday Night Raw tonight, USA Network, and let's not forget to end things off, Monday Night Football tonight here. Bengals, Bills, in a throwdown. 12-3 Bills taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, 11-4. And man, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, it's going to be a playoff atmosphere. Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, I don't know if they've ever faced each other since, at all. I don't know. Maybe it's the first time. I don't know. But, we've always talked. There's always been conversations, not just here, but other programs. Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow. Yeah, Joe Burrow is beating Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I don't say Patrick Mahomes, but beating the Chiefs 3 consecutive times. I get that. Now it's time to see just how good he is. Because when we had the conversation between the Bills and the Chiefs, it seems to be a evil playing field. Well, the Bengals and the Chiefs seems to be playing field, if not slightly better, to the Bengals' favorite side. Now you got the Bills and the Bengals. This is playoff. This is what to expect. We saw playoff atmosphere all weekend long in college football and in the NFL. And realistically, if the Bills lose this game, tonight, no harm, no foul. They just maybe lose the number one seeding in the AFC. And, honestly, would you rather play a game? Would you rather get a bye week? How much does that really do for your team? or would you rather just go on and go ahead and play the game, knowing that you'll get 2 home games at least in the wild card and divisional if you win and move forward? The Bengals, hey, they have a lot to work towards. They have a lot to thrive off of. They need this win. This win not only motivates them, this will clinch the division, for example. Plus, both teams are on a winning streak. Winning streak, I tell you. So, I mean, a lot to a lot of fun kicking in the new year. Let me try. Baseball, not baseball. Football, wrestling tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in and kicking off the New Year's with me. Like I said, we'll get things worked out. We'll figure out the kinks, get things smooth. Just give us some time. Like I said, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Tune us in tomorrow. We'll be back 6 a.m. To get you more sports covering the Bengals and Monday Night Raw. Thank you guys for tuning in. My name is Justin. You guys are listening to The Throw-In right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.